get my 6. There's something in the forest behind me moving around. Keep your eyes on it. See if we can figure out what it is. There's something over this way too. It's more than one. They'll be back. They'll be back because they want to hear all about my beach trip. All right, so I'm back from the beach now. They come from up in this direction too, so let's... All right. So, I'm back from the beach. I was down there for 3 days. I got my, my sun burn, soon to be a tan. Something happened down there with a woman while I was at the beach. I did something with her I probably shouldn't have done. My wife wasn't there, and this woman, she kept coming at me, and you try to resist as much as you can, but I am only a man, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme. It's just that I'm a poet and didn't know it, and I can make a rhyme anytime. And I hope you guys don't think less of me for what happened. I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to talk about it right here in front of potentially millions of people. But this video will probably only get about 12 or 15,000 views over the next week. So 12 to 15,000 people are going to find out about what I did with this woman that I probably shouldn't have while I was down at the beach. But you know what else? Let me tell you what I didn't do while I was at the beach. Because, I went because I was being told here that I was angry and I had these underlying currents of rage. People could just tell, by the way I was talking about how much I loved my wife and my kid and how blessed and how we knowingly know we are blessed to have the lives that we have today. Supposedly I was angry. So I decided I'd just go to the beach for a few days and you know what? It worked. I mean, today, I haven't even unpacked the truck yet. I pulled into the house about 10 minutes ago. Cleopatra's doing great. Winston, the Wonder Bunny, our free roam rabbit inside, is doing great. And our outside bunnies, the mommy and her 8 babies, are all doing great. Everybody's alive, well, healthy. Pick the right buddy this time to come around here and make sure things are okay. Last time, a couple years ago, potentially, while we were down at the Outer Banks for about 5 days, Bigfoot Sasquatch came along and ate every piece of livestock animal that we had. Didn't happen this time. All right, so anyway, I didn't work. When I was getting ready to go down there, I thought, well, just pack up the laptop, spend some time at the beach, get rid of these anger issues you've obviously got going on that people are pointing out. Go back to the room, write for a little bit, because I'm working on my first full-length novel, in almost 5 years. It's going to be great. It might get man to Mars. That's how phenomenal. And I'm about 10,000 words into it right now. And what I'm telling you is that I'm not talking with a rover. I'm talking, one small step for man, giant leap for mankind type is in somebody stepping outside of a craft onto the surface of Mars. That's what this book might do. I read it and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote that. I mean, I've talked to some people. I haven't told them, really what it's even about, because I'm trying to keep that close to my chest, but I've talked about it without talking about it, if you know what I mean. And already they've told me it's the best book they've ever read, and they've never read it because it's not even written yet. Wow. All right. So anyway, I got there a few nights ago, just before the sun went down, and I was able to go out and see the ocean, see the beach, and it's the first time in 2 years, because of the COVID thing and all that. And call me whatever you want. It's just I just followed the guidance, and I didn't leave my state until I was fully vaccinated, which I am now. And I went down there. And by the way, I walked into a Food Lion grocery store as soon as I crossed the state line into North Carolina to get some food and stuff from my room. And I walk in, I get out of the truck, put my mask on, go in the store, and it's like no one's wearing a mask. And I'm like, oh my God, look, you can see people's faces like from here down again. And so I went over and I asked a young lady working as a cashier, I said, ma'am, I just came down from Virginia. I'm going down here to the Outer Banks. I don't know what your state's rules or whatever is with this mask. What's the deal? And she goes, if you've been fully immunized, fully vaccinated, and you have your card with you, which I do. I have my card in my wallet, and I have downloaded the Walgreens app onto my phone so I can pull it up on my phone. She said, if you've got that, you don't have to wear a mask anymore in the state of North Carolina. Effective as of like last week, their governor lifted that as long as you've had the injections. And so I was like, wow. So I took my mask off, man. Look at this. Hey, North Carolina got to see this pretty face, brah. What a shame to have such a pretty face and have to cover it up for the last 2 years. But I you know what? I did what they were saying to do. And my concern was always more other people that I might infect if I were to be a carrier, because I'm pretty confident in my I think we just heard a loud thunderous tree knock. Potentially that was him, her, it, or they saying, hey, welcome home, Crazy Lake. You crazy guy, you. Okay, so I get to the room, that first morning there of my first full day, I actually did some writing. I did some rewriting from the day before, some writing I'd done here before I left to go down there. It was rainy and cloudy that morning, so I fixed up a lot of stuff that wasn't that great, made it better. Added some stuff I'd left out. But then around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the clouds parted. It stopped raining. So, well, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go down to the beach here. And so I did that. And I walked down to the beach. And man, I didn't touch that laptop again until 3 days later when I was packing it up to bring it home. I want you to pay close attention to these bird calls. I'm telling you, man, him, her, it, or they potentially communicate by trying to mimic the sounds of certain birds. And I know the sounds of certain birds because I live out here in the middle of nowhere, and I have certain birds everywhere around here. And when I can tell when one sounds like it has a throat ache, like maybe laryngitis. Birds don't get laryngitis, brah. Potentially. All right, so anyway, it's great, man. I beached it for a whole 3 days. I was thinking, well, go down there and write, another 5,000 or 10,000 words. I have no regret, no remorse that I did not write the whole time I was down there. That I made the one video. You guys are probably like, yeah, it's like you just hit the beach all of a sudden. Well, the day before that, you were doing a video where you're walking across these, unmarked graves all over the campus of the University of Virginia. How'd you do? Hey, man, that was pre-recorded, and I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you, but I didn't want everybody that watches this stuff to know that, except for when my buddy came by to deal with the animals, that there was no one here, man. Come on, brah. Sounds like a woman's voice coming from the forest back here. This is the dangest thing. Well, shoot, I should have showed you where I went. I was just looking around over the hill over there. Making sure. It's like we heard movement back there, and then now it's got some kind of weird... All right, anyway, let me get to this trip, because I got to tell you about what I did with this woman. I know I shouldn't have done it. I mean, well, whatever. I'll get to it. I met some wonderful people. It was really great. Now, I'm just a few hours from Virginia Beach, but I like going over there and then turning south and spending another hour and a half to get to the Outer Banks. It's just a different experience. I am not beaching in the crime capital of my state. And I just totally feel more relaxed and more at ease and more at peace by doing that. So that's why I go down there. I met many people, and I don't, I met my doppelganger. I met a guy and I met his wife. They're about my age. He's a little bit younger. His wife's like a year younger than me. He's a few years younger than her. Jonathan and Tanya. I'm not going to tell you too much about him because I have reason to believe that here at some point in the next few weeks, I'm going to be introducing you to them here on YouTube. And you'll understand more about that when that point comes. But it was nice to find a married couple who are also best friends, just like me and my wife, and like a lot of you and your spouses. I see it in the comment sections all the time. You're talking about, somebody left a beautiful comment last week about how she married her best friend, and I think she and her best friend have been married for 26 years. He asked her what, whoever you are, I'm sorry that I'm not like shouting out your name, but let me tell you, you guys, I make fun of the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges, and I bomb them, I don't care about their comments. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious, and that's kind of part of the story here today. But the ones I take to heart are like this. This woman said she married her best friend 26 years ago, and before they got married, he asked her what she wanted. And she told him, all I want is to pass the time with you. I don't care if we do that in a tent. And they've been together for the last 26 years, passing time together. And she mentioned that they've got a place, I think it might be similar to this, and they've acquired lots of every stuff, and none of it means nothing to them. All that matters is that they're together, passing time together. And that's beautiful, because that's how now come on now, I better not talk about this. Karen's going to have to come on here and point out how angry I am. Sorry, Karen, not trying to offend you with this unconditional, madly impassionated best friend love I have with my spouse, as do many other people. But it's like this couple had that. And so when me and Jonathan and Tanya were sitting around hanging out for like the last 2 days and going swimming at the beach and eating together and stuff, it didn't feel like I was hanging out with the typical married couple. Sometimes you get with these couples and it's like either the husband or the wife kind of like nags at the other, or complains about, he does this wrong this way, or, well, if she hadn't have done that. And man, I don't want to be around people like that for a minute. And, I've got friends, and my friends that I enjoy spending time with have similar marriages as I do. And we never, ever say anything derogatory about our wives, because we don't have anything derogatory to say about our wives. And we talk about how good we have it. All right, so I don't want to piss Karen off. She come at me, I'm going to end up back at the beach, and I got to get some stuff done around here. I got to mow 3.5 of this 6 acres worth of land. It's all grown up on me since I was at the beach, so got to get out that new zero turn I got and play with that here soon. Not today. I've been sitting in a truck for 5 hours. That's why I'm making my video today before I even unload the truck, because I just want to stand up. I've been sitting in there, 5 hours. So anyway, I met two very like-minded individuals. They were wonderful to hang out with, and it was really restoring of my faith in humanity to find that I'm not the only guy out there that's so crazy that he doesn't care about what you're doing over there with your family and your house on your property, as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're leaving me the hell alone. I mean, they're out there, man, because I met two of them. It was wonderful. You know what? And I met a group of people, and they made a request. And I read that comment too. One of the young men, there's a group of 9 people. They're all 20 years old. This is a story about unconditional friendship and unconditional support. Let me tell you this story real quick, because I got to tell you what I did with that woman. Probably shouldn't have done it. I don't know. I'll let you decide. So, my wife wasn't there. She kept coming at me. Sometimes you just gotta it's hard to resist. So anyway, I was at this place watching the sun go down, over the water. You're like, I thought you were on the East Coast. That's the Atlantic. Sun comes up. Oh, yeah, but on the Outer Banks, it's like this strip of land that goes for like 100 miles. You got the Atlantic Ocean on one side, then you've got the Sound on the other side. And the Sound is so wide, a lot of places you can't see the land on the other side. So I was eating dinner at this place and just watching the sun go down over the water. And there were a couple of huts out there with a boardwalk, and it looked identical to this place where me and Dearly and Daniel and Dearly's brother Abel, who pretty much stayed with us the whole time I lived over there, where we would go to hang out in the Philippines and watch the sun set down over the Bay of Davao, of course, which led into the Pacific. It looked identical to this, and I was sitting there watching the sun go down, just having these memories. And I'm going to tell you about a very special memory with that. Dearly would go work all day at her mom's store. I'd write all day, and then we'd go watch the sun go down. We'd get a bucket of beer, we'd get a basket of fried shrimp, and we would get a basket of like pork skins. You could get all this over there in the Philippines for the equivalency of $5 US. And well, it's a story about beautiful lies, but I've got to tell it in the right order, which is completely out of order because that's how I tell stories. But it makes sense by the time I tell it. Okay? I wish this deer fly would get away from me. Shoe fly, shoe. Shoe fly, shoe. All right, so while I'm sitting there admiring the sunset, I noticed there's like this group of people down here on the like dock or whatever, and they're taking pictures. They keep taking turns. One would come out and take a picture of the group. I walked over there to take their picture so that they could all be in the picture, right? And I was walking over there, and there's this young man named Jerome, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because he said it's the French version of the word Jerome. He's got French heritage or ancestry or something, so it's Jerome, said more like a G than a J. So I get the camera, you know, and they're all lined up, and these are beautiful young people. They're 20 years old. They told me, we were talking for a little while. There was 4 girls and 4 boys, 4 women and 4 men that came down to see their friend Jerome. And turns out they came down from Pittsburgh, 12-hour drive one way. I thought, man, you guys must really like Jerome. He was, what was he like, the alpha male of your little, you know, clan here or whatever? Turns out, because Jerome lives down this way now, he grew up there with those kids, and then like in his senior year moved down this way. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to totally blow Jerome's anonymity, you know, as far as where he lives and what's his life is, because that's just how I roll. But well, it turns out Jerome just got word that his girlfriend is with child. And as you might imagine, and these kids, man, I'm calling them kids. I'm not trying to sound disrespectful. They were 20. They all looked... I read in a book somewhere that once you reach a certain age, everybody under 30 looks like a teenager. I guess I've reached that certain age. But they were 20. They were in college. When Jerome got this completely life-altering news, he told his friends, and they got in their vehicles and drove 12 hours one way to come down here and spend time with him so that he would know he had their support. That is amazing to me. That's what I call unconditional friendship. I mean, you find out who your friends are when you have something bad happen or when you get down on hard times. To have 8 people to get in their vehicles and drive all the way from the Northeast down here to the coast of North Carolina to support you, that's amazing. Jerome, I don't know what's going to, I don't know what you're going to do because we didn't get into specifics. Wasn't my business. I wasn't going to pry, but I wish you the best with whatever decision y'all make and however you decide to handle it, and good luck. And I was impressed with those friends. So we were talking, stuff came up, just small talk, and I told them a particular story that they really seemed to like, and one of them commented on a video from the beach video. He said, hey, I was one of those guys that met you there at the place last night. You should tell that story that you told us on YouTube. That's an awesome story, but that story will never be told on YouTube, and here's why. This story involves a real live individual human being person, and it's nothing bad. It's a good story. It's a neat story. But this is a person who is a real person, And the relationship I have with this person, and pretty much anybody, if it's a good relationship, if it's a mutually respectful relationship, means more to me than just, being able to tell another story about somebody that most people knows. I mean, it's a household name type thing. And I mentioned this in videos before. I live right outside of Charlottesville. There's a lot of folks around here who are household names. And I know some of these people. I would never come on here and tell stories about them because I just think that's disrespectful to them. I don't want anybody who knows me to feel like, uh-oh, I better not talk to that guy. We're going to end up being the subject matter of his next YouTube video. So I don't do that. Okay. There's 3 reasons, young man. That's number 1. And these are not necessarily in order. Number 2, I can't stand name droppers. You know what? And why did I even tell you? Well, it came up because of what we were talking about. You know that. Name droppers are people who just merely want to look like they're more important than they really are. You know, those young ladies I met, they were beautiful. Is this why I told that story? To look more important in the eyes of these beautiful young women than I really am? Nah. Okay, so that's number 2. I know this D-bag that used to drop names. It's like we all know somebody that does that. It's like, oh, okay, so you know somebody that actually did something with their life, and so you expect us to think you've done something with your life. Come on, everybody sees through that. And so that's not me. Number 3, here's the biggest reason that I'm not telling that story, because I think we had a special moment there, me and 9 strangers I've never met, as we hung out for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and then went our separate ways, and we'll never see each other again. That moment was for you guys, and that moment was for me. So that was our story. Though I told it to Jonathan and Tanya a little bit later that night. They liked it too. Okay, now, about that group. There was this very lovely young lady in that group who is a writer, and she wants to write. And she said a lot of people tell her maybe it's not the best idea. And I told her to get as far away from those people as she can. And that's kind of when I told him what I did with the writing and stuff. And here's the story I'm going to tell you now. I'm getting to what I did with that woman down there when I was at the beach. That thing I probably shouldn't have done. But you just got to wait. Just wait, okay? I just drove 5 hours, and I need to stand up, man. Look at this. I need to stand up. So I told this girl this story because this place where we were watching the sun go down over the sound looked so much like, it was a place called Fellis Beach where we went in the Philippines. And we'd go there and we would enjoy our time always. And Daniel, he was like 2 years old or 3 years old, maybe 4 years old. And he'd take his little trucks. That used to be his thing, like little trucks, like, little dump trucks and bulldozers and excavators and all that. And steamrollers. I was laughing because he used to call the steamrollers the steamrollers or something like that. So he'd be playing in the sand, and his uncle Avell would be over there playing in the sand. And me and Dearly, we'd sit there and say, well, we're still kind of down and out in the Philippines, and still doesn't look like we have any way we're ever going to get to the U.S. to be able to raise our son over here and get him educated over here. And she'd say, well, you just keep writing. You keep writing. And I was writing for Yahoo News at the time and some blogs, some tabloids. And so, this was the beginning of that long uphill climb. She said, you just keep writing your stories. And one of these days, enough people are going to read them to where we're going to make enough money to be able to actually go to the U.S. and take our son there and have him raised there and have him educated there. And then, once he's done, hey, you can go wherever you want. Daniel, if you want to live in the Philippines, you can. If you want to live in the U.S., you can. If you want to live in England, a wonderful country, Canada, wherever. But we knew that by bringing him here, we would instill in him the ability to take opportunities he wouldn't have had if he had not been raised here and educated here. And that's not a knock on the Philippines or any other country. That is a great compliment to the great country that I love, United States of America. Love a lot of other countries too that I've lived in and visited, love them too, but this is home. And so I told this girl, here that I was talking to while we were watching the sun go down, that eventually, you know, and I would tell my wife, I'd laugh, I'd say, tell me more of your beautiful lies, honey. And I'd laugh, and she'd say, it's not a lie, I believe it. She believed in me, and her belief in me kept my belief in myself going. Just kept doing it. Just kept doing it, and eventually it happened. Her beautiful lies became beautiful truths, and now here we are. So, anyway, I got to just get to it. I got to tell you what I did with this woman that I probably shouldn't have done. So I met some other folks later. I met a lot of people, and I'm not talking about everybody I met. I'm just telling you about some of my beach trip, some of the memorable moments. So, there was like a couple from North Carolina, and there's this woman there from up in New York. And listen, I just read a comment before I started making this video from my 3 Loves JSA or something. You guys have the weirdest names. How could your parents name you that? But she's from New York, or he, I don't even know. And she's talking about how much she loves my channel, and I appreciate that. She said the people up here in New York love your channel. Thank you. I love the people in New York. I love people everywhere. Okay, this woman just happened to be from New York, so don't take that as if I'm, bashing New Yorkers. I don't know, so just sitting there small talking. I was actually getting ready to go in and go to sleep, and because I wanted to get up and run. I ran every morning on the beach while I was there. I love running on the beach. And wow, I see a vulture in a tree way down there, like jumping from limb to limb. That's weird. Okay, anyway, so everybody's like, wait, where are you from? I'm like Charlottesville, Virginia. And they're like, and then so a little more small talk, and they asked me if I've been here forever. And I was like, no, I actually grew up in West Virginia. And then I came over to Charlottesville after I got out of college, like 20 some years ago, left for a while, came back. And when I said the thing about West Virginia, of course, everybody laughed, because I found that when you tell people you're a writer, you're a YouTuber, or you're from West by God, Virginia, they just laugh. So everybody laughed. And I was like, yeah, I know. Ha ha, dumb hillbilly. No, my wife's not my sister. Yada, yada, yada. And they're laughing. Well, then this woman from New York says, hillbilly, more like farm animals. So she was saying that if you're from West Virginia, you're not just a hillbilly, you're a farm animal. And, I was talking earlier about vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges, and how I just laugh hysterically at their comments before I, pray for them, sincerely pray for them, but then summarily ban them. She said that, and I just started laughing so hard I almost fell out of my chair. And she goes, what are you laughing at? I said, you think you're calling me a farm animal because I'm from West Virginia? And she goes, yeah. And I laughed even harder, started laughing even harder. Well, she was getting angry that because I wasn't getting angry, because she was telling me because of a place where I was raised, which something I had really no say in, I guess. It's something certainly superficial, that I was a farm animal. She just kept getting more angry, kind of like Karen. When I talk about how much I love my wife and my son and how we're blessed to have the life we have, Karen gets upset with that and tries to tell me I'm angry. Well, this woman wanted me to know I was a farm animal. And she was pissed. How can you be at the beach and be pissed? I don't know, but she was pissed that I wasn't pissed, that she was basically saying that because of where I grew up, I was a farm animal. And she finally said, look at you. You look like a farm animal. And I was just laughing so hard. I shouldn't have done this, but I did it. I pulled my cell phone out, and I pulled up a picture of my beautiful bride, Dearly, a.k.a. Giggly Girl. You guys have all seen her. Gorgeous. I pulled it up on my phone, and I went over and I showed it to this woman. I said, this is my wife. And she went, oh my God, she's gorgeous. And then the other people jumped up out of their seat to come look at it. And they're like, oh my God, she's beautiful. I know, right? I sat back down in my chair, and I'm chuckling, and this woman's just kind of glaring at me like she's kind of mad because I'm not mad. She's kind of shocked. My wife looks like a supermodel. And I just said, and you're calling me a farm animal. She just looked at me and she said, you need to leave. And I could tell she was serious. And hey, she might have been a girl, but she was a lot bigger than me. A lot. I mean, so I left. See you for more next time.